so nice to see so many familiar faces here today. And hear familiar voices now that we don't have telephone conferences so often. My name is Tom Butterworth. Yes, I work for WSP Parsons Brinckerhoff. The dark side has better ships, doesn't it? So, I recently left Natural England about 6 months ago. I was Principal Advisor for Biodiversity there. And I've come in and I've taken on a role looking after our biodiversity work in WSP PB. I'm going to say very briefly, WSP Parsons Brinckerhoff is a large consultancy looking at design across a range of areas of infrastructure, from small scale to large infrastructure, energy, oil, road, rail, and we have a big sustainability team within that. And I've come in and sit within the Ecology team, which is 85 and counting. So significant Ecology team. And I was quite nervous about coming into a big organisation with a lot of civil engineers. I went to Imperial College and it was all civil engineers there too. And I was delighted to find that not only are they really open, the whole team really open to working together on biodiversity and ecology issues, but also that they're really interested in the integration and the benefits we get from it. And we go beyond simply thinking about how we're going to build one specific scheme, to starting thinking in much broader terms, and that's really what I want to talk about today, the white papers that we start to produce. And this, in a sense, is not going to be a talk with lots of answers or great examples. What I want to do is raise a whole load of questions. Questions that I don't have answers to, but questions I hope that we can start discussing in the breaks later and so on. We've got a stall just outside. Come and say hello to us. So, my role is to look after our work on biodiversity net gain. So that's looking at development and working out what the biodiversity is on the site beforehand, avoiding, mitigating as much as we possibly can, compensating and offsetting at the last resort, so that we get more biodiversity out the end of the process. And we're working on a huge range of schemes, from East-West Rail, Crossrail, looking at strategic work across Transport for London, with Highways England, with Network Rail on specific road schemes. And then on the really small places, we recently did some work for Ecotricity, which is really exciting as well. So a whole range of stuff there. And it's really exciting to see this starting to really grab the imagination of these big developers. But when we start developing these places, oh, and I should say, we've written a white paper on this, which there's hard copies outside. I can say that this is fantastic because I didn't write it. It really is very good, so do pick up a copy. When we're starting to create these places, we're not creating them for today. We're often creating them just as we are with our built environment. We're creating those buildings that should last, what? Some people say 30, I hope 50, 100 years and longer. So we're creating the places that have got to survive into the future. And we need to be thinking about our biodiversity in the same context. We need to be thinking about the places we create, these green roofs, the walls and so on, that they are going to be there and going to be lush and vibrant into the future. Now, one of the other really interesting pieces of work that WSP Parsons Brinckerhoff did, and are still working on, is looking at the future trends in the UK for the built environment. And it's to try and answer and try and explore exactly these issues. How do we create places now that are going to be fit for the future? What are the mega trends that are going to be shaping our future? And we've heard some of them this morning already from Tony and around climate change, but those aren't the only trends we need to be thinking about. And again, I didn't write this, I think this is great work. What they've done is pull out a whole load of evidence and play that out so that when we start, the civil engineers start looking at designing a place, they can take into account increasing energy prices in real terms. But also cities becoming sources of energy, potentially. That's particularly true in London now. There seems to be a big drive for solar panels on roofs. So we're going to see a shift, perhaps. We've talked about climate change already. We've heard about climate change. Increased peak rainfall, increased sea level, and summer temperatures going up. And then if we add to that rising water tables, especially in places like London, we're going to see massive challenges. And I hope that people thinking about fracking are also thinking about that rising water table. There's a real challenge there that goes beyond simply trying to think about one of these in isolation. We need to think about them together. But also, we need to think about it in the context of significantly increasing population. And again, this is reflecting something that Tony's already mentioned. We're going to see 10 million more people in our cities by 2020. And yet, the trend is that we're becoming more lonely, largely because of these things, I imagine, which is why it's so fantastic to be face-to-face with you today. You know, that's really, long may these things last and carry on. But that's an issue, and it's an issue that we can start to address by looking at how we create these places, and particularly about how we create these biodiverse places. Increased terrorism, but crime going down. What does that mean for our environment? You know, some of these pieces will have a direct impact on how we look at the green spaces, and some won't. But I think it's interesting to start thinking about this. If crime is going down, does that mean our parks are actually safer? Some of the challenges we've had in the past, my dad lives in Camberwell. Camberwell Green was a place we did not go for a long time. Yeah? If crime's going down, maybe that's not a problem anymore. It's certainly not in Camberwell, but you know, generally. So even those things that we don't think about having a direct impact, we need to start broadening our thinking. Certainly I need to start broadening my thinking and start thinking about these other pieces too. Autonomous vehicles and more cycling, what impact's that going to have? And what about more flexible working and living places? Our built environment is going to need to encompass different roles. It's not going to simply be an office and a home and a restaurant. These pieces are going to start integrating and start interrelating much more closely. And this last one, I'm not really sure about, because I'm not an engineer, but it's new materials. That looks like an inverted snake to me. But how does that play out in the places we create? And what impact is it going to have on our biodiversity? If we create, I don't know, a whole load of new plastics that are then leaching into the watercourse, we need to start thinking about that now. Now, this piece of work was well evidence-based, really good. I'm saying that because this next piece I just pulled off the internet and it's a bit ropey. Okay, there's some trends on here that I don't think are exponential growth. That's why I'm saying this. But this is, I think, is some really interesting piece to add to the context of this here. The reason is that this doesn't just tell us that we're seeing change, it sees a dramatic rate of change. We are seeing an increase in the rate of change. So what we're going to see in the next 5 years is not going to be the same level of change that we've seen in the last 5 years. That's really, really important. So we're not just building for the next 50 years as we remember some of it. It's going to be building in completely new context. So out of all of this, what I've got is a set of questions. We are starting to draft a white paper on biodiversity in cities. At the moment, it's got the sort of slightly cringe-worthy title of Biodiversity. That might not survive, but what I'd really like is to involve all of you in the discussion around what we're starting to say in there. And we'll be running some consultations and some meetings and interviews with people to start pulling out some of the trends that we think are important. So, for example, we want to start asking questions around how will cities change in ways that impact on biodiversity? So that's sort of a relatively straightforward one. What does a truly biodiverse city look like? And how and why would we create it? Now, Tony has started to articulate some of that, yeah? In terms of our ecosystem services story. But we need to go beyond that, I think. We need to start thinking beyond the more straightforward ecosystem services, perhaps. And I agree, water and soil is crucial. I'd add air in there too as a third element. How do we integrate biodiversity into our building designs in our cities? Now, we've seen some of that in that last presentation. Brilliant examples of what to do and some examples of what not to do. In terms of creating bird boxes that aren't fit for any bird. I bet there's something interesting that ends up living in there, something we don't expect. Yes. How can we maximise the benefits we get from biodiversity in the city? If we are going to sell it on the benefits we're getting, how do we make the most of those? We're very good at creating visions for these green places. These pictures are not fantastic pictures, but it's because it's my photographs out of one copy of the Evening Standard. But we've got a vision for the South Bank. We've got someone trying to sell the flats that are behind the trees. You can't actually see in the advert, but they're selling them based on the trees. And we've got this wonderful, possibly ridiculous artist impression. So we're really good at pulling together the vision. We're not always great at making it a reality. There are examples. We've just heard of some of the examples in London. Victoria is another one that I know Gary was very involved in. Fantastic work going on there. Out of my hotel room, I could see roofs. I would like to see, it's a slight aside, I'd like to see walkways between these roofs so that we have the access and we get the health benefits and we've got this aerial park. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Getting the permission for that would be a pain. But we've also talked about ecosystem services, and I'm not going to go into this in detail, so we need to start selling this. But I want to spend the last few minutes of my talk really opening up some questions. I have no idea whether they're even valid questions to start asking. You shout me down. But I want to take us beyond simply thinking about ecosystem services, beyond simply thinking about trying to make a pretty place, and beyond thinking about future trends only in terms of climate change. So what will self-driving vehicles mean, for example? Are we able, so one of the things that self-driving vehicles has really attracted a lot of attention on is that if we have self-driving vehicles, that will mean we need less road space for the same number of cars. And that would then mean that that road space could be sold as new property. Very expensive new locations. That would be a shame, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be far better if we could make some places, that this is a high line in New York, it's not a road, but what if our roads started looking like that? You know, if our green network, we don't have to worry, yes, we'll get it on the roofs and the walls, but what about the streets as well? I think there's huge opportunities there if we start going down that route of self-driving vehicles, and we can make the case for this. I think we need to think about the urban ecosystem in a new way. I think we tend to put our habitats into little boxes. So we tend to think of chalk grassland, acid grassland, neutral grassland, and of course they're completely different. Never get muddled up. And we've got these nice little boxes. They don't work very well in the rural environment, no, but they're appalling in the urban environment. Yeah? London, it tends to be a cycle of recolonisation of species. We saw 70 species in that site in Paris as well that had self-colonised, if I've got the figure right. So we need to start not putting our habitats into little boxes and start thinking about, well, how do we reclassify that? How do we rethink it for the urban environment? We saw a paper recently showing that seed size of certain plants in the urban environment was increasing. So they're starting to shift and evolve to adapt to not needing to spread their seed so far. And actually it's better to be nearby because that's where the grass is. You know, if that's the case, do we need to start thinking about our ecosystems in a new way? And take them out of their boxes. I think that last one, I think the teacher might know that the adult parent might have helped a little bit more. But you know, we certainly want to avoid that type of thing. Personally, maybe someone's designing these in this room. Forgive me, but I think we need to break our habitats out of these boxes too, don't we? And that example of taking away the pesticide use in Paris will start to do that. You know, we start to see the things coming up on the sidewalk again. Fantastic. Can we accept that? What does climate change mean in our cities? Now, there's a whole range of stuff we need to start talking about there. But what I want to just flag is that buildings like this, which is being put up in Milan at the moment, fantastic, huge numbers of trees, huge numbers of forests going up, all in every balcony. Where's the water coming from? And is that viable in climate change scenarios? Are they the water from the roof is not going to be adequate to water all of that, surely. You know, and are they using grey water from all their washing machines and things? If they are, that's fantastic. The risk is that we go down pumping water into these systems, or that we have to supplement it with water that we've cleaned already or something. Yeah, we need to avoid that. Do we need to rethink what we're putting in these places, or allow self-colonisation, or actually think outside and think, well, do we want something that's slightly better at coping with our environments in some of our roof gardens, and accept that there's going to be a shift there? I don't know. It's a question we need to explore and need to answer, and not just avoid, because those species might not be all native to the UK now. What about electric cars? Now, I think air quality is a major issue, but fingers crossed, I think 20 years' time, electric cars will have moved the air quality problem to wherever we're producing the energy. Both fingers crossed, that energy will be produced in a way that's not causing those air quality problems. But if that's the case, does that mean air quality in London dramatically improves? And if so, someone can tell me whether that's lichen or lichen. I never know the difference. Sorry, it's not a very good picture. The key thing here is, are we going to see lichen suddenly going over all of our ancient buildings and monuments and so on? And are we going to get people saying we have got to spray St Paul's Cathedral with pesticides or with lichenicide to get rid of it all because it's destroying our old buildings? Can we make a case for this too? You know, how do we deal with this now? How do we start? I think we need to start thinking about this soon, because it's going to happen very quickly if the rate of change is changing and increasing. And okay, so you can see my examples are getting slightly further and further afield from reality. This last one, forgive me. Some of you will know very well the fantastic example of the vultures in India. The startling story. I think that's a white-beaked Indian vulture. Sorry? White-back. White-back? I don't know my vulture ID. I can get the other one. The numbers of vultures dropped dramatically, 90% down, and they found out that it was because of putting, I think, a growth hormone into the cows that they were eating and it was killing the vultures. Thank you. Anti-inflammatory. Into the cows. The vultures were eating it, dying, and because of that, the cattle were left on the street, lots of feral dogs ate them, rabies went up, killing lots of people, let alone the cost, and so on and so on. Now, the BirdLife International, a whole load of other people have started to address this, and a lot of, not all I don't think, of the places in India are starting to look at taking that chemical out of the system. But can we think about ecosystem services in the same way in this country? You know, we don't leave our cattle lying in the street, or at least what we actually leave is bits of cattle that's cooked lying in the street, yes? And it's eaten by pigeons, largely. Now, what happens if we have bird flu or something and we decide to get rid of, or they die, or the pigeons disappear? What happens to all that food? Does Trafalgar Square start becoming full of rats? Yes, it's the rat population going to boom so dramatically because we lose our pigeons. I think we need to start thinking about the ecosystem services that are already playing out, but perhaps not visible always, and start telling those stories as well. And maybe the ecosystem services pigeons provide are worth thinking about. I don't know. What do you think? So, this is a thought piece. We are going to write a white paper off the back of some of the more sensible ideas, but we'd really like to hear your thoughts. We would like you to come and get involved, come and talk to us about it. We would like, and if you think working for WSP, Parsons Brinckerhoff sounds exciting, and I assure you, I'm loving it. Come and talk to us, because you've got a whole lot of jobs going at the moment. We would love for you to come and talk about what the opportunities are here. So, get involved in whatever way you like. Come and talk to us, get involved, write the white paper with us, come involved, talk to Mark, the head of Ecology is here. Let's carry the conversation on. And if you've got some really wacky suggestions, questions too, let me know. I'd love to hear them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Very thought-provoking and shamelessly plugging. Are there any questions? Oh, welcome. Over that side of the room.
That was brilliant. My name is Joe Frampton, I work for ACOM. Totally agree. Need to break the habitat plans, traditional boxes, need to change frames of reference. I think the old rules don't apply anymore. I think things have changed so much in the environment that exactly all the things you're saying make a lot of sense. Especially with regard to using non-native species, which you know is controversial, but I think it's in that context it works, and I know I'm doing a lot of work at the minute in the LLDC area, and I keep being asked to include native species, which I am doing, but also half a kilometre down the road is all the parkland created by Nigel Dunnett for the Olympic Games, and that's a mixture of ornamentals and non-native species and wild species, and it works, and it looks brilliant. So I think so often we're using a frame of reference from perhaps 30 years ago that in certain circumstances, I think especially in the city, doesn't apply anymore. Or at least applies, but with caveats that other views are acceptable. That's probably not a question, that's probably something I need to get out of my chest.
No, that's fine. I think what's really interesting there is we need to think about the ecosystem as a whole and the habitat's functionality, and we need to think about what's going to work in the long term. I can't see a problem with one green roof in London being Mediterranean scrub heath. Wouldn't that be interesting? See what happens? I don't know. It might provide a whole load of habitat that's supportive, and it might actually work for the future climate. I don't know. I think cities are places of innovation. They're the places that the ecosystems are starting to innovate. The evolution is starting to shift some of our species. We should not be frightened of trying things.
Question here.
Just an observation on that marvellous report yours on the trends for the built environment. Did you cover the change in retail patterns?
Just the other day, just maybe lead on that. It's I was at an envisioning workshop for what would happen to Marble Arch in 30 years' time, the area around Marble Arch, the big park. And I was with 3 property people who knew a lot more about that. And we're into marketing and the size of retail. And I said, well, we're not going to need shops, are we? Because no one shops anymore in that sense. For shopping, to buy something, you go online, you go to shops as showcasing places and to learn something. So more and more the shops have to do something that they're not doing. And then the street next to the shop maybe doesn't need to be a conduit to get to the shop, maybe it needs to be a place that you need to sit in because you want to be going in and out of the shop a bit like a library or whatever. So certainly this idea of a retail, it's just a change in technology making us not need all the things of the city used in the same way we do now. And it's just another aspect of what you were showing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The information is on our website, and have a look at it. It's really, I think it's really very good. I can't remember exactly if that was addressed specifically, but I would be surprised if not. I think you're absolutely right. What we'll end up with is places that sell things that you do as a group, cinemas and things like that, or places where you eat, where you're actually absorbing something then and there, as it were. And long may that. I think that's a great thing. I'm very happy with Next disappearing and having a fantastic load of cafes that have got trees all around them and so on instead. Yeah, good.
We've got the down the 3rd row.
Tom, hi. Vicky Fletcher from Oxfordshire County Council. Have you managed to engage with the smart cities and the resilient cities sorts of movements? Because it strikes me that having a biodiverse city, or biodiverse cities, as you have potentially calling your work, is a pretty smart thing to do. And the smart cities isn't just about that sort of technology, it's also about that whole, what do our future cities look like? So it'd be fantastic to have some people out there engaging and helping to shape those agendas more effectively for the natural environment.
It's nice to see you. Yes and no, not as much as I'd hoped, and if there's contacts in the room that can help make that happen more, it would be great to be part of that. But we're at the start of this journey. I'm at the start of this journey, and we need to, part of what I'm trying to do is bring these elements together. So yes, absolutely, we haven't got there yet.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you to all our speakers this morning, Tony and Martin.